Welcome to Available EV Charger Incentive and Rebate Opportunities for Businesses and Institutions by Juicy Power. Juicy Power is an institution here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'll tell you a little bit more about it and myself on the next slide. So Juicy Power is a Georgia-based EV charger consulting, installation, and management company. It's also a disadvantaged business enterprise as defined by Georgia law. Our focus is local and premium EV charging in and near improving Georgia communities. In over 20 years of experience myself, I have an advanced transportation engineering and strategy, and our team has over 50 years of electrical contracting experience as well. So let's go over today's electrifying topic. As we said, it's available EV charger incentive and rebate opportunities for businesses and institutions localized to Georgia. But first, let's go into some of the trends that we're seeing with electric vehicles. While there is a slowdown that has happened in new electric or new energy vehicle sales over the past year or so, as you can see from 2020 to 2050, adoption rate for new vehicles, new full electric vehicles in the United States is expected to reach somewhere between 20 and 30%. It could go as low as 14%, but 20 and 30% is very common in terms of predictions. In addition, you also have to account for plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, in addition to your traditional electric vehicles. That adoption rate is also expected to reach 30% when you combine the two segments together by 2030. So we show these two graphs to show you that electric vehicles are catching on in the United States, and property owners, whether they're nonprofit or business, should be prepared to adjust to this new modes of transportation for their clients and visitors. So, one of the things that we at Juicy Power often come across when we're talking to our clients is, well, how can we get to incentives? How can we decrease the upfront cost of installing EV chargers? Well, that's why we're all here. So we thought it might be a good idea to go over the top 4 sources of incentives. Number 1, electric utilities and EMCs. This is pretty much your electric utility or co-op in your area. Think Georgia Power, think Jackson EMC, think Cobb EMC. So those are just a few EMCs and utilities that are local to the Atlanta area. But depending on where you are in the state, you'll want to look into your electric utility and EMCs for incentives. Federal tax incentives are our second category. Those are federal tax incentives that come down from the federal government. And we'll go into a little bit of detail with that just a little bit later. State and local incentives as well too. So your county, city, or state might have local incentives as well too. In Georgia, we have several incentives that are available. So you'll want to tap into those as well. And we'll go into that in a little bit more detail later as well. And sustainable and new energy grants. So in your particular area, or even nationwide, you might be able to access grants that could align with your application. So if those are available, you'll also want to look into those as well. And Juicy Power can help with that as well. So a little bit more detail about electric utilities and how they can be leveraged for incentives, especially in the Atlanta area. So many utilities often have EV charger rebate programs, meaning you purchase an EV charger and there's some sort of rebate that you can show proof of purchase and installation and operation that you can get some money back for that. Sometimes there'll be a lump sum, and sometimes it will be a percentage of the cost. You've also got Things like make-ready programs, where a utility might assist with the cost and the labor associated with back-end infrastructure. As long as they're using their electricity, they figure they'll make their money back. So it becomes naturally a symbiotic relationship in order to install the chargers so they can sell you electricity. But it can also defray the upfront cost as well. So important thing is check with your utility, no matter what. Your utility is going to tell you, if you find the right person, you find the right website, how you can save money. And often the utilities are eager to help. So work with an expert to contact the utility and get the incentives that can make your project just a little bit cheaper. Now let's talk about federal tax incentives. So one of the most common tax incentives from the federal side that you'll see is called the 30C tax credit. It's for commercial, but it could also be for nonprofit installation as well too. And the incentives is up to $100,000 per site, but it's also capped at 30% of the project cost. So let's say you had $1 million project. You could still only get about $100,000 per that site. And if you have a $100,000 project, you're probably going to get $30,000 in terms of rebate for that. So hopefully that makes sense. $100,000 or 30%. Usually they say it's a lesser of the two. So let's talk about state and local incentives. State incentives. In Georgia, we have something called the Georgia Level 2 EV Charger Tax Credit. That's 10% of your project cost up to $2,500. Once again, if you have a $30,000 project, you will only be able to get up to $2,500. However, if you've got a $5,000 project, that means that you'll get $500. So that's the best way to understand that in terms of 10%, $2,500, the lesser of the two. We've also got local incentives as well too. Check with your city, your county, and regional authorities. They also may be offering incentives and rebates for your installation and for your design cost as well too. Usually these incentives can also include your design cost, your installation cost, and labor cost. And finally, we're down to sustainability and new energy grants. The main thing that you want to know here is that federal grants are often filtered through state agencies. These might be environmental agencies, clean energy agencies, renewable agencies. And once those agencies kind of win those federal funds, then they're able to offer grants in terms of, all right, offering to specific applications that fit the grant's objective. You'll want to check with your regional and local government authorities for assistance opportunities. And Juicy Power or another electric vehicle organization can help with that as well too. And one tip, when it comes down to being part of a grant or a grant application, it's great to team up with other types of entities that can provide a holistic solution to a particular problem that the grant might be trying to attack. For instance, clean energy or renewable fuels in an urban area or a rural area, let's just say for that. So you'll want to team up with several organizations that might have interest in participating in a bid for that grant or that grant money. Number one, it offers you a larger geographic footprint. Instead of just having it for one building or one parking lot, you can have your proposal encompass several buildings, several parking lots, and several locations, which makes it more appealing to the grant providers in order to accept your application. Teaming up with government agencies is also a good idea. If you have a regional agency, regional commerce agency, even your city itself, that's a good idea, or several cities. And the main point is to have a variety of stakeholder partners. A variety of stakeholder partner often represents a more holistic and more targeted solution that has a better chance of succeeding. So a variety of stakeholder partners is important to include as well. So now that you know your basics, what do you do? Well, you definitely have to weigh your options and adjust. You should contact an expert like Juicy Power. And then finally, if you can, use a Juicy Power roadmap. So if you're trying to weigh your options and contact an expert, you can snap that QR code that we have on screen right there. This QR code will take you to a link tree that will have certain options that you'll be able to access and certain resources that you'll be able to access in order to further you along in this journey of installing electric vehicles at a reduced price. You can contact an expert by going to www.juicy-power.com or scanning that QR code. So a little bit of our process and our roadmap can be accessible here. We have about 10 or 11 steps that we go through when it comes down to installing electric vehicle charging installations for businesses and nonprofits. The first one is onboarding. That's where we get to know a little bit about you and a little bit about your goals. A preliminary consultation usually takes place over the phone after that. After that, you get a preliminary estimate. And often the on-site assessment follows that as well too. Fifthly, we'll do a full analysis and estimate. Next, an agreement occurs and project planning commences after that. We also work with equipment acquisition as well too. Permitting as well alongside the equipment acquisition and other parts of the project. Installation and commissioning, and then operations management and maintenance. After the equipment is installed and operational, we'll help you with your operations management and maintenance as well too. So a little bit of a roadmap to know and to see and preview what is actually coming. So we talked about the roadmap as in the prior slide. A good roadmap helps business leaders understand the process and the plan. Preparation being a condensed stage, design, installation, management, and maintenance. So thank you for listening. Here's some next steps that you can take. Number one, as we said before, use a Juicy Power EV charging roadmap. That will help you along the way. Number two, contact us. You can email us at info@juicy-power.com, or you can use the QR code down there to also reach us as well too. So let's talk about our next webinars. Our next webinar will be on August 23rd from 12 to 1 p.m. It'll be about the preparation, process, planning for providing EV charger amenity. So that's 3 P's for providing an EV charger amenity. We hope to see you there on August 23rd, also via web conference from 12 to 1 p.m. And that's it. So at this time, we're going to stop the recording. Let's see. And thank you for your time. And definitely go to the Juicy Power site and see how you can further electrify your future for your building, for your community, and for clean energy.